Hello, my name is Mike Fox.
I'm Trisha Fox.
And we are life coaches. We are parents of a rock star teen. We are CEO and business owners of Splash Designworks. We are filmmakers. We are authors of a book, Marriage Coaching. We are certified marriage coaches and relationship coaches, and voiceover professionals and actors and actresses. And that's kind of who we are. And we wanted to give some helpful, inspirational, and hopefully some motivational and powerful tips and things, for parents and teens. Especially, this is a youth empowerment summit and event, so we wanted to, give some inspirational things to help. So the first thing on our list is parenting rock star kids. So parenting rock star kids. When we say that, we kind of mean that the kids that have shown a lot of spark, a lot of talent, and they're exuberating. Is that a real word? Exuberating?
I think so.
Yeah, showing through raw talent and their passion, and it's kind of like evident in whatever they do, they're passionate about. And when you see that in your kids, there'll be something that they'll be passionate about, and that's when we kind of recommend to other parents that you want to take advantage of that. You want to kind of keep a lookout for things that they're passionate about, things that they really like, and they kind of lean towards, as opposed to forcing them to do this or that. Even though there are some things that you have to, say, okay, well, you have to learn your ABCs, you have to learn math, 2 + 2 is this, some basic life skills. But each parent will be able to see in their own kids certain things that they lean towards, that they really have a passion for. Have you seen that with Ari?
Yeah, and I think that it's also really important for parents when they see things that their kids are interested in, and they have a passion, to really understand the difference between maybe if they are feeling discouraged because if it's a lot of work, if something that they're doing is a lot of work, and maybe they feel discouraged, or maybe they had a negative experience with something and it caused them to think that maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing or something like that, or if it really is something that they're not interested in, and just having that balance to be able to know, like, okay, this is something, it really seems like it's not for them, or if it is for them, but they need to have that little bit of extra push or guidance in knowing that it is. It's just like any person could probably tell you that learning how to play a musical instrument, that they didn't always enjoy every practice that they went to. It's like listen to so many people talking about piano, especially. It's one of the things I've seen most people, that are musicians complain about, like having to go to piano practice. Is like they didn't enjoy doing the drills over and over and over again, but that's the way that they became great, is by doing those practices. And if they hadn't, they wouldn't have learned how to do the notes properly. They wouldn't have learned how to do beautiful music. And so it's just finding that balance between knowing if it's something that was really not for them, or it's just something that, like, maybe it's the hard part of the work. But one of the things that we like to talk about is that you'll be doing hard work no matter what, but if you're not doing it this way, at least they get to do hard work doing what they love
and be rewarded
for it. But it's like you'll if you're not doing that, then you'll end up doing hard work for somebody else, but it's for somebody else's dream and somebody else's goal. So
exactly, and that's a great point, because as parents, your job is to lead by example, of course, right? But it's also to lead your children into what's going to benefit them and and the family, of course. But to do that, it does require for you to be not only friends with them, which we are best friends with our daughter, but it also requires you to step up to the plate, to say, you may not feel like doing this today, you may not see how it's going to benefit you, but as adults, as parents, we kind of have that that vision of being on top of the wall, that we get to see that if you do work hard and you do, hustle and grind, and you don't have that entitlement mentality that, well, the world owes it to me anyways, then you will see the rewards. And to instill that in your children, so that way they themselves, one day it'll click in for them that, hey, I have to work hard. So that brings another point, is we want to encourage parents not to give everything to their children. You want to, sure, you want to buy them ice cream. Sure, you want to buy them a new A or B or C or D. But always have it to where, it's beneficial if you have it to where they know the importance and appreciation of it via way of earning it in some way. So they don't have to, scrape, minerals off of a rock, but in some way they do have to understand the importance of it. And we've noticed in the statistics of so many young people that have been handed a silver platter of an array of items to them, that it's a pretty understood thing that they don't appreciate it. They take it for granted. And so instilling a work ethic is extremely vital. How much they work, it depends on each child. Some have a bigger threshold of work strength, how long they can work, what they have an understanding of work is to them and all that. But whatever it is, according to each child, you do want to install a work ethic in them, so they learn that things aren't free, and what seems to be free is really not free. Somebody in the process will have to pay for it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think another thing that's a really important thing for parents to know is to really cultivate a relationship with their children, and to have that relationship be really important, and know that they know that you are supportive of them, that you are interested in the things that they are interested in, and that you're really supporting what they're doing, both financially and with your time, because sometimes your time is even more important than your money. And just knowing that they have your attention on things, if they're telling you about something and you're just distracted with your phone and you're not even really paying attention to what they're saying, or those kinds of things, or they show you a new story that they wrote. No, Ari's told us so many times with her being a writer that she wouldn't have been as passionate about writing, even though that is her main passion that she has, and she has a lot of passions, but her main passion that she has is writing. But she's even told us that she wouldn't have been as passionate about that if she had come to us with her stories and we hadn't wanted to read them, or we hadn't been interested in those things. And that's really, really important. And I think a lot of parents get lost in the extremes of trying to find a balance with the relationship with your children. Either it's the one extreme where they're like, I have to be the parent, so I have to be so strict and make sure they follow rules, and I can't be friends, and I'm not my child's friend, or whatever, or the opposite extreme where they're trying so hard to be their child's friend that they don't have any structure or any discipline or any guide like that. So it's like finding that balance between making sure your kids know that you love them, that you enjoy spending time with them, friendship and stuff like that, but you also still have that that knowledge that you are still the authority figure, you're still the parent in the parent-child relationship. So.
Yeah, that's true. Which actually brings up another point, and that is balancing life, family, business, and success, and scheduling. We've been asked this a lot of times. How do you balance everything? Amidst of us being filmmakers, owning a family design company, being actors, voiceover, and authors and speakers ourselves, that's just really a fraction of what our daughter does. Being a CEO, professional voiceover, professional actress, 3-time author, published author, Amazon bestseller, keynote speaker, an influencer, a host, show host, all at age 14. So, she's got her schedule on the board is busier than ours. So, and that's at age 14. I'm just really glad that she's organized. But that's been brought up a lot, is how do you balance everything out? We always like to kind of bring things to the main focus, and that is family first. So we always schedule things out on the iPhones and on the calendars, on the Google calendars, and they're across the platforms and across the devices, so we're all on the same page. But the first things first, always make sure that you have family time. So you can schedule Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but as long as you have dedicated an hour or two or whatever each day for your family time, to make sure that it doesn't just suck it out into the vortex of oblivion. Being busy is great, and being busy in positive things is fantastic, but what could be a good thing can turn into a bad thing if it's not balanced correctly. So, if you don't balance for family and your time, especially for a husband and wife, and we don't take time somehow, some time throughout the day, throughout the week as well, to make sure that we stick to our closeness and we stick to it doesn't fall into place by itself. So we have to schedule that and make sure that happens just as much as if we had an interview or even this summit or anything. So
yeah, I definitely agree. That's really important on making sure that your family relationship balance stays intact. And especially for us, like, we are not all success at any cost. We're family first, definitely, and making sure that success doesn't come at the expense of our family. And we, like Mike said, we literally had to come to that where it's like we schedule things out. And this started even a long time ago when Ari was younger and Mike used to work outside of the home, and she was homeschooled, and so a lot of times she would be with me learning in the day and stuff like that, and then he would come home. And so they started this thing that once a week they would do their daddy-daughter date, and so they would just go and do something special, just the two of them, just to spend some time together. And they continue to do that even now that Mike works from home, but they just have that special time together. And then we have a date night once a week that Mike and I just go out, just the two of us, or we'll even sometimes just stay at home and do a puzzle together, or just different things, watch a movie together or something. But just scheduling out that time and really making it important, because if you don't schedule it, and especially a lot of times it seems like sometimes the ladies can think well, if it has to be scheduled, then it's not romantic, it should just happen, or he should just know what I'm thinking, it would be romantic if he just came over and held me right now or whatever. But those things don't just automatically happen, especially when you have a busy schedule and a busy family life, or if your kids are in sports or they're in whatever they're doing, the entrepreneur things or everything that Ari is doing. You have to schedule those times. And what we do as a family is that we make sure that even if there's days even today was a Saturday, and we were out filming because we had some stuff that we needed to film for Mike's latest project, the Box in the Basement, that we're working on, and so we had to do that filming. But when we do that and we take a time that normally be a family time, we'll always make up an extra time where we can spend time together as a family. So it's not like something work or something just replaces it and then the family time doesn't come. It's we always make sure that we reschedule in that family time that would normally be. Yeah. Be flexible, but not change it so that you don't end up having a family time. You don't
sacrifice that. It's not we're sacrificing it for the good. No, the good is your marriage. The good is your family.
We even had we met this married couple one time, and they were both really, really busy with their work and everything like that, and both of them, one of them actually had to do a lot of trips away as a family and stuff, or not as a family but away for work and stuff like that. And we asked them, we're well, when do you spend time together, because it seemed like they were spending a lot of time separate. And they were oh, well, we do family vacations once a year. And it's a family vacation once a year is not going to make up for the rest of the year of you not being close. So you really need to make those times important.
Yeah. It's the longevity and the consistency, of time together that you have to dedicate, and you have to make it happen. Like we said before, it doesn't just fall into place. So that actually ties in really good to the next little topic, and that's, what does success mean? So youth success, parent success, life success. Success can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. And like Trisha was saying, we are a family that are success minded. our goal and objective is to succeed in the things that we're doing. Otherwise, why do them, right? But we are not success at any cost. And there's a big difference. We've lost count of how many families and even couples that have that mentality that success, whatever it takes to succeed, comes first. And then, of course, somehow, that benefits the family. That benefits, that'll pay for all the bills and all the fun stuff that you want, in your marriage and all that. But we've also lost track of how many marriages and families have broken and crumbled because the success mentality overtook the practical mentality of learning how to love your spouse, learning how to love your family and to stay close. And then as a family unit, then you succeed and you pursue success, but together, but not at the cost of losing the closeness within your marriage and family.
I agree, and I think that just like Mike was saying, that success comes in all different kinds of forms. And one of the things I think of being a success as a parent, and this is probably easier for us and other people that homeschool their children, because we were able to kind of tailor some of the things that obviously, like he said, there's always the certain things that you have to teach, like math, reading, and all that kind of stuff. But there's also certain things, like as a homeschooling family, that we've been able to tailor towards Ari, like the way that she learns best and subjects she's interested in, adding those things into the learning that has actually helped. And even parents who have their kids in regular school, they can do this on off times and things like that too, when they're not in school, just to instill when they're young a love of learning with their children. And that they end up loving to learn, and they are excited about learning new stuff. And we have been surprised at like how many times that Ari, she's just so excited about learning. She's excited about learning like as if she's like excited about she got a new whatever something, a new thing that she got. And so she gets like so excited, and she just wants to tell us like, guess what I just learned. And she's like so excited about that.
She gets disappointed, like really disappointed, when she isn't able to do as much education and schooling as she wants to,
Yeah, when we actually take off a day because we have other things, or we're doing some errands or things like that, and we take off a day, she's like, man, no homeschool. And so, but I think that's one of the things that shows success as a parent, is that you have instilled that into your children, that they have a love for learning, a love for work and hard work, like Mike said, because things don't just come, or they shouldn't just come to you like automatically. It comes through hard work. And almost everyone who has anything, unless they, just had a family where it's always been in their family forever or whatever, but most people, they work and they get it. It's like some people, they want to have like a ultra thin body or something like that, like some model, supermodel or something like that. But it's like, do you really want to do everything that person did to keep their body that way? It's that same kind of thing. Like if the grass is greener on the other side, it's because the people on the other side are taking better care of their grass. So it's like what do you want to do to like take care of your own grass? Kind of thing.
I think you mentioned it before. It's like the saying, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
Everybody wants to eat, but no one wants to hunt.
Exactly.
Stuff like that. Yeah, exactly.
So instilling these principles is going to be key for you parents that have successful minded kids. Instilling the parameters, instilling the things, one saying says, train up a child in the way that they should go, that when they're old they won't depart from it. So that same principle at play is, if you instill these things that will help them, maybe not immediately or right away, but down the road, you're going to see these rewards and the results of these things. Hard work, learning how to balance out their own lives. Okay, so we as parents, we have like a million things, in the bills and the house and the car and all that. Kids, they don't have that, but they do have other things that are smaller. They have maybe allowances, or skating, or going out, or ice cream, or snacks, or rewards, and they know they can learn how to balance those things at a smaller level, so that way they learn those principles, so that way when they get those bigger things, if they're faithful over these few things, they're going to be ruler over many, and they're going to learn these principles don't apply to just small things. It's like Yoda, you know, when he was teaching Luke Skywalker how to levitate the X-Wing fighter, and he was teaching him how to he was training him, and he could, pick up these rocks, the rocks, they surround you, and then when he couldn't do the X-Wing fighter, that's when Luke Skywalker said, like, I don't believe it, and Yoda, he with wisdom says, that is why you fail. It's because you didn't believe. You thought there was a difference between an X-Wing fighter, that's big, and a little rock. And there wasn't a difference. So those principles that you teach them, that you instill in them on a smaller level, trust us, they will bring about success for your kids as they grow older.
I also think like what you mentioned before is helping them to find out what they're really interested in is a big thing too, and introducing different subjects in different matters. Like even if you're doing life science, like maybe they're more interested in this type of animal than that type of animal, or things like that. And one of the things examples with Ari for this is that for a while, even though she was like a writer, she didn't really enjoy reading as much. We would tell her, okay, we need to read, and she kind of almost dread reading days a lot of times and stuff like that, and she didn't, but the problem was that she hadn't yet found something that she was interested in reading. And one day she was really interested in, and she didn't really like a lot of the modern books that were coming out and stuff like that. And so one day we were in the I think Barnes and Noble, and she started reading Sherlock Holmes, and she totally fell in love with Sherlock Holmes, and she bought the whole series and she wanted to read it. And so she's found out for herself that she loves classic literature. She doesn't really get too into all of the modern stuff that's out, but she loves classic literature. So she loves 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and she loves Jules Verne and Sherlock Holmes. So any of that classic. So, but it's like that kind of a thing where it's like maybe they think, oh, I just don't like reading, but it's not that they don't like reading. It's just that they haven't found the right kind of book. Exactly. I think even J.K. Rowling made a quote about that, something about like if you don't like reading, you just haven't found the right book yet, or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, stuff like that.
So all those things together, I mean, we can have a full-on, weekend session, for parenting, on parenting successful kids. So those things, if you could implement these small tips and these things that we've been able to learn over the years on helping Ari, our daughter, and she's so, more successful than, we can be successful on just the both of us. When we grow up, we want to be like her. But if you can do these things, they will help you and help your team. But to kind of close this out, one key word that Trisha mentioned, and that's relationship. If you try to push your children and you try to steer them and push them and drill them and make them work hard and all that, but you don't have a relationship, what you're really going to do is drive them farther from you. And so the first things are first, and that's make sure you have a really good relationship with them. Tie those bonds together. Then when you tie them together, the trust will be there for you to explain, well, this is what's necessary, this is what's needed, you got to do this. And then they trust you to do those things. They trust you that what you're saying matters and means something to them and it's for their benefit, as opposed to, I'm saying this because I'm the parent. So a relationship is at the top of the list.
I totally agree, and I would say also, like we were talking about, communication is really, really big, and your kids need to know that they, from a young age, that they can talk to you and that they can talk to you about anything, that you're interested, that you care, and you need to be the ones really to, in the beginning areas, to teach them and to talk to them about any kind of topic, whether it's political things, it's like your beliefs, whatever you believe in, all kinds of stuff like that. You need to be the one, different things about life lessons and stuff like that. They need to learn that from their parents first, because if they don't learn that from their parents and they don't learn it in the proper way, they are going to learn it, but they're going to learn it from maybe not so positive influences. So parents really need to have that line of communication open so that when they become teenagers, they know that they can talk to their parents about anything. There's no need to feel like Ari doesn't feel like she needs to hide anything from us, because she knows knows that she can talk to us about anything. She can bring up anything that she needs to with us.
And on that note, they can open up if they feel like they failed. Whereas instead of going on social media and saying like I failed and confiding in somebody else that they don't even know, or a friend, if you do establish that relationship to where you communicate and they communicate with you, then when they feel like they failed, then they come to you, so that way you can pick them up and you can be the one to be their heroes, and they need that from you as parents. So, definitely we appreciate you giving us the opportunity to give you some just little nuggets of advice that we've learned along the way. We're still learning. We'll learn forever, as long as we open our hearts and minds to learn, so we can be better parents. But we want to, definitely share these things to help you to raise your kids to be successful.
I was just thinking one thing on what you were saying, too, it just reminded me. But it's like, as marriage coaches, one of the things that we talk about is that, like Mike was saying, is you're actually preparing your children to go out into the real world, per se, when they move out on their own and things like that. And so there's been a lot of times when a parent would tell their teenager or something that they can't get married, or they can't, you have to wait until this age or whatever, blah, 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 and you can't get married or something like that. So then as soon as they can move out of the house, what do? They run away and they get married or whatever. So when we've heard like young people that are talking, of course they have to be of age and all that, but when we've heard younger people like talking about getting married, like a lot of times what we want to do is, instead of just saying like, oh, you shouldn't, and these are all the reasons why you shouldn't get married right now and you should wait, we start talking to them and like discussing. And sometimes through talking about all the issues, and when they're talking with their boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, whatever, and they're talking through all the things like, how many kids do you want? These are important things that you need to talk about before you get married, by the way. Like, how are we going to handle finances? How are we going to handle this or that? And, how long do you want to wait before we have kids? Or how many kids do you want to have? And sometimes people just think like, oh, my spouse will automatically just think the way I think, and one wants 6 kids and the other one doesn't want any kids or something. It's like, oh, we'll just somehow work it out after we get married. It's like, no, you need to be talking about these things before. But it's like, if you try to just dissuade them and say like you shouldn't get married, then they're just going to run off and do it anyway. But it's like, if you prepare them instead and you say, okay, if you're going to get married, these are things you need to know, these are the things you need to talk about, the things you need to work out, then sometimes along the way they actually decide for themselves that they're not ready for marriage. But then they're like making that choice for themselves instead of like just being told not to, which they usually rebel against.
Exactly. And it fits the same way with like the things that they're trying to accomplish. Maybe it's not your passion, maybe it's not your dream, and that's something that we talk about as well, is making sure that you don't instill your dreams on them if that's not their dream as well. They're not supposed to fulfill your unfulfilled wishes and dreams and aspirations and ambitions,
or have to become a doctor because there's like 4 generations of doctors in your family or something like that. It just doesn't work like that. So in some cases it does. Everybody has their own system, but we want to make sure that they have their own dreams, and if you can give them the tools that they need, just like Trisha was saying, then they will find out for themselves. And more times than not, you can't tell them this is not going to be good for you, or this is not going to work, and you're not good for this or something like that. Let them find out for themselves, and just be there for when, if you're that confident, be there for when they're like, you know what, I made a mistake, no problem, let's get you back on the right track. So, but we're gonna have to wrap this up here. Mike and Trisha Fox, proud parents of Ariana Fox, and you can find us online, splashdw.com. That's our business, splashdw.com. We're also healthy marriage coaches. Our email is foxfamily238@hotmail.com, or the business email is info@splashdw.com, 302-399-7851. On social media, for Splash Designworks and splashdw.com. Any last quick things? Yeah.
No?
Okay, pretty much talked about it all.
That about sums it up.
Or at least as much as we could talk about in the amount of time we have.
Yeah, this is like a 10th of what we could talk about. But yeah, thank you so much. And it is our pleasure to be speaking to this at this event. And Rich Mullins and the Mullins family are so incredible, and we appreciate the opportunity. So thank you so much,
Thank
Mike
you.
and Trisha Fox.